Hello folks, this is a more detailed video about Yanagi, her rotations, and swap cancels. First of all, there's two stances. You see I'm in the yellow stance, you can see by the yellow pigtail thingy behind her. And then when I push her skill, it goes to the blue stance. And what this does is it just changes her basic attack combo. You can see the blue stance has this one that does not go in the air. And another thing to show is that the first two hits of each combo does physical damage. And then the third, fourth, and fifth does the electrical. The physical damage is pretty useless, so you want to skip that and go straight to the electric damage hit number 3, 4, and 5 every time. And that's the same approach for her other stance. The other one, the third, fourth, and fifth hit is more recognizable because she leaps in the air and plunges down. But regardless, you want to skip the physical damage. To do that, you hold her EX special to get a new buff that lasts for 15 seconds. Now when I do her basic attacks with this buff, it goes to 3, 4, and 5, ignoring the first two physical hits. And another thing is these three electrical hits, it's kind of slow. The last hit of her basic attack has a lot of frames that you can't really do anything out of. Yanagi is just stuck in that animation for the whole time. Here's hit number 3, 4, and then 5. You see how long 5 is? Here we're going as fast as 3, 4, and 5. And the combo length is about the same for both blue and yellow stance. Here I'm starting both attacks at the same time, and you can see I end and can start walking at the same time as well. So what do we do about this long animation? We cannot dodge cancel or anything. Well, we can swap to another character, such as her best teammate so far, Bernice. I can swap the second I start the 5th hit, and I can move around freely while Yanagi is stuck in her animation. And there's a lot of things you can do during this little time depending on the character you swap to. A support can reapply their buffs, and for Bernice's case, you can apply more fire so she can keep her dot debuff up. And because Yanagi's special disorder only procs when the enemy already has an anomaly debuff, then you want to make sure you keep applying burn with Bernice. So here's how the combo will kind of look like. When you're using a Yanagi, you're doing your basic attacks. When you hit the 5th one, swap to Bernice or the other character, do their quick ability, and then swap back to Yanagi and keep attacking. This playstyle is very active, and there is a little bit of skill ceiling involved since you have to do a lot of swapping. And it does increase the overall team damage by reducing some downtime. But you do not have to do this swap cancel in order to utilize Yanagi well. She still does a lot of damage with her kit without swapping. So here's the general approach with a full team. First, you want to apply your buff with your support, and if you're playing a disorder team, apply a non-electric anomaly debuff on the enemy. Then you can switch to Yanagi and use her hold special skill. This will also proc the special disorder, which will do some extra damage. And after using her hold EX special, you have both buffs, so you keep attacking for 8 seconds. A good way to keep track of 8 seconds is to finish her basic attack combo twice. After you see it loop 2 times, tap her special to switch stances, and then do another 2 basic attack combos with the new stance. After that, you hold her EX special in order to give her the full buff again, and repeat. But usually by this time, a little bit more than 15 seconds is already up, and your buffs have probably fallen off from your support. So you want to switch back to your support and your other team members to reapply the buffs, and go back to Yanagi again. This is her usual full team combo route, and it does really good damage even without swap cancelling her 5th attack. And if you lose track of your buff timers, you can always look under Yanagi's portrait or health bar. If you do not see both blue and yellow under her portrait, then use her skill to get both buffs. And if you do not see the buff circle under her health bar, then hold the special to get the buff again. Okay, now let's see this team in action in a real scenario. This is floor 21 of the Endless Tower. My 5-star characters are at Mindscape 0. They have average or maybe a little above average disc drives and 4-star weapons. So what I'm trying to say is the damage here is what you're going to see from a pretty average account. And I'm putting into action all the rotation stuff that I talked about. I'm applying attack buffs on my support. I try to keep burn and Bernice's debuff up when I can. And most importantly, this is the most important one, keep track of Yanagi's buff to make sure she always have everything in order to maximize her damage. And she actually has a lot of buffs. She gets electric damage from her blue stance, penetration from her yellow, and if you have both of them up, you get both of the buffs, which is ideal. And when she holds her EX special, she gets the buff that lasts for 15 seconds that skips the 1st and 2nd basic attack. And every time she uses her EX special, she gets a buff to her disorder damage and electric damage. And also the electric anomaly buildup if you have another electric unit on the team or anomaly character on the team. And all these buffs are really important for Yanagi because I think she's a pretty balanced character. and Hoyoverse probably balanced her with all these buffs in mind, and she ends up being top tier if you can utilize all these buffs at the same time. And with the swap canceling, I'm not doing it every single time, I'm doing it when it feels safe. When you swap out of Yanagi's 5th attack animation, there's no invincibility, so whoever's coming in will eat damage if there's something bad coming on. However, Yanagi does have some invincibility and avoidance during her 5th attack animation, so it's safer when you're controlling her. Her attacks actually has a lot of avoidance and invincibilities. The obvious one is holding her EX special, but her basic attacks also dash through or goes up in the air to avoid a lot of attack, and her tap special also has a parry built into it if you time it right. You don't really want to force the tap special on every time you see the enemy flash. Her dodge is a lot better for that. But the good part about the built-in parry is after you do your 2 basic attacks and 8 seconds are up, and you kind of need to do a stance swap, the built-in parry will actually save you a lot of the time when the enemy is attacking during that little opening. The parry animation is not that noticeable, but if you're doing it yourself, you will hear a little clingy sound and you will not take damage after the enemy attacks. And getting a parry always feels great, so that's another plus for her kit. It's just very stylish and good to look at. And finally, I want to go over some of her builds and what to level. The skill upgrade suggestion is actually pretty accurate. The most important thing you want to level first is her core skill, so make sure you get all 6 of those, and then her EX special. After that, the basic attack and ultimate have pretty similar priority, so level up as needed. And then you can ignore the assist and dodge since that's about less than a couple % of your overall damage. And then for her disc drive and vengeance, I'm just going to recap what I said in my Yanagi free-to-play guide. For shock teams or mono electric teams, you want to use 4-piece thunder metal and then either of the 2-piece anomaly proficiency sets. And then for disorder team, you want 4-piece chaos jazz and then 2-piece freedom blues. The main stat for disc 4, 5, and 6 are AP, electric damage, and anomaly mastery or attack percent. If you do not have a good piece with electric damage on disc 5, then use something with penetration or pick the one with better substats. And for substats, her most important one, the most important is AP. That is priority above all the other substats, especially if you're using her Wenjin that needs 300 plus in order to proc that extra bonus. AP is a lot better than attack percent for Yanagi because it directly increases her special disorder damage as well as overall disorder damage. And then after AP, the next thing you want is attack percent and then penetration. And finally, I will close out with her Wenjins. Obviously, the best in slot is her special signature one. It increases her anomaly buildup and disorder damage, so everything that she wants. If you do not have her signature, then an S1 fusion compiler is just as good as a S5 electrical lip. The problem with the electrical lip is it's a battle pass weapon, and in order to be as strong as the fusion compiler, you kind of need it to be S5, which will take 5 battle passes and $50. So I suggest just going for the free-to-play weapon or the fusion compiler if you get lucky eventually. And if you do not get lucky, you can always use the shop to spend 600 currency to buy a specific weapon that you want. Anyway, that's pretty much it for my detailed rotation guide on how to play Yanagi well. If you stuck by till this part of the video, thank you very much, and let me know how these tips work out for you and your team. I'm also curious if the subtitles are helpful or not. I do talk a lot and it might be hard to understand me at times, so I add the subtitles in, but let me know in the comments below so I can get some feedback and improve on the videos. So with all that said, thanks for watching, hope you enjoy your Yanagi, and as always, have fun out there, Proxy.